Welcome back, Fibraxes. We are here with another one, and like most New Year's resolutions, mine failed after the first month. I had such bad food poisoning, like for a week I just couldn't eat, and I'm an enjoyer of calories, so you know there's a problem. So I was kind of just dead out of conviction, just laying down in bed, called off of work and everything. So truly, what kicked me out of my rut was seeing the absurd Hungry Burger support that just came out. Oh my god, it does so much. What was it? It like tributes their whole field. They can't. I have to look it up actually. Negate all the effects of as many face-up cards as your opponent controls. Then, if it was special summoned by a Novelez monsters effect, tribute all monsters they control. And then the quick effect is tribute their guy to summon a Hungry Burger. That is so amazing. Like, it's a ritual. I don't even know if this is very easy to get out. But man, if you get this out, I mean, you kind of just win. I mean, you get a quick effect kaiju on their turn, and you get to put a Hungry Burger on your field. Oh no, this is everything I always wanted. I told you to not let him cook. You let him cook. Oh my god. No, but I'm excited. I definitely want to pick up that deck and paper. Maybe that's gonna be my first Yu-Gi-Oh local deck. Is the Hungry Burger, the recipe, or the I don't even know what ritual archetype that thing was based off of. I don't know if it's old or if it's new, but it looks really cool. I have to try it. So let's get into a couple comments here. I mean, the last video didn't really have that many cards with effects on it, so there wasn't really that much to talk about. But there was a couple points to make here. Goddess of Whim was not once per turn. I don't know how you messed that up that badly, but something to note. Slime Toad being Frog the Jam. I didn't recognize it at the time, but yeah, I remember seeing like shit posts about Frog the Jam before. And yeah, I was too enamored with the flavor text. But yeah, my only response to that is put him in. Retrain him as a vanilla, let him be a frog. Because someone even said in the comments, you know, you could unexpected die level 2 Aqua in, like the frog. And then the frog decks actually get a new tool. I think that'd actually be pretty sick. 1000 Dies Restrict was banned for a while. That's surprising, but not surprising with the added context of you're not actually fusion summoning it, you're cheating it out, which is cool. I think 1000 Dies Restrict is like a really cool design, really cool card. So I'm glad it actually got to see play back then. And honestly, it still is just fine. I think I've seen the newer version of it. I don't know what it's called. It's something Eyes Restrict. But it screwed me up one time when I was playing a couple weeks back. It like negated my monster and then took it. That's modern Yu-Gi-Oh. We just slap a negate on there. And then you got the 3-legged zombies and the Unizombie card in Rush Duels. They're possibly a little bit more than bros, as the Twitch chat would say. A little bit of Kappa pride. You know, always good to see. And shout out to Tyler Gressy. Glad you recovered, big dog. And very excellent taste in Dragon Ball Z characters. Yeah, last week was pretty filler, but now we have 2 main sets in a row, and we're going to hop into Pharaoh's Servant. Okay, here we have Insect Barrier for our first card. Insect type monsters your opponent controls cannot declare an attack. Odd one, very specific hate. There's a lot of differentiating things between early Magic and early Yu-Gi-Oh. I think early Yu-Gi-Oh really pushed the power level of the spells way faster. Actually, all the cards way faster. But some things they kept in common was very specific hate. That's something that's always kind of been shied away from in more modern design, because it's just kind of not fun. That said, I don't think this card was probably ever played at all. Maybe there is a world if there's too many insect types in a draft format in here. Maybe it becomes a very, very good sideboard card. It still is a good sideboard card in retrospect, at least early on. I mean, for modern Yu-Gi-Oh, your battle phase is optional to win the game at this point. So, I'll give this thing a sideboard B. I mean, it still has power, and if you're fighting an insect deck, you probably win the game. So, B. But you have to like know the context of the B, where it's like, I don't think this card was played. We're back to the vanillas. Also, thanks for the support on the me just skipping giving vanillas grades and just grading the art, because yeah, we all know the grade. Here we have Doku Royabia, a boomerang with brains that will pursue a target to the ends of the earth. Oh, that is sick looking. Love the concept too. A boomerang that just does not stop falling, is just living. Look at that thing. Snake coming out of the skull's eye. Yeah, this thing's really sick. This gets an art B+. I'm really liking the looks of this one. Here we have some damned souls, souls of the forgotten. A wicked spirit created by the hateful souls of those who fell in battle. It grows by assimilating the souls of its enemies. Pretty standard damned souls card. Art is pretty standard too. I do like the flavor text. This will get an art C+. Here we have the science soldier. Soldiers equipped with the state-of-the-art weaponry to face unknown creatures. And we got a guy with a gas mask in a kind of a hazmat suit. Looks like his gun would probably shoot some sort of syringe or needle or something. Got the Anna from Overwatch thing where you heal your teammates and it damages the enemies. Small thing, I like the background. I like the germs in the back. Yeah, Science Soldier, overall solid. Not C+, this gets just a nice standard C. Here we have Wingweaver, a 6-winged fairy who prays for peace and hope. Me too. Me too. Yeah, you know what? You get a B. I like your flavor text. I'm also praying for peace and hope. The all-seeing white tiger, a proud ruler of the jungle that some fear and others respect. I kind of wish the flavor text here described, like, what magic this white tiger possesses. It's all-seeing. Does it have some sort of fortune-telling aspect to it, or is it just because it can see at night? Though I think cats have night vision. Not 100% sure on that. There's some lore to expand here with the name that the flavor text does not do justice. For that, you get a nice standard C. Skull Mariner. Okay, a pirate ship that appears out of the mist and sinks any sea-going vessels. That's pretty cool. A cursed ship. Can you play this in the sous ship archetype? Probably not. I think those all need specifically sous ships. I want a Skull Mariner archetype. I want cursed pirate ships versus sushi ship. Skull Mariner, C+ for art. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the idea of a cursed ship too. The colors on the ship, though, not the biggest fan of. I kind of wish it was more broken down and wooded as opposed to this like red. Red doesn't feel like a very natural color for like a cursed ship for me. First effective monster, here we go. 4-starred Ladybug of Doom Flip. Destroy all level 4 monsters your opponent controls. Now that is interesting. How many level 4s are being played? So all the really big normal summons are all still level 4. The Witch of the Black Forest is 4. The recruiters, like the tomato and the rat, are 4. So between the big normal summons and all those other cards, this is probably going to hit a couple things. No, because if it hits the tomato, I think they don't get the search. So, I mean, that's actually pretty solid. I feel like this can blow out your opponent, though. In the correct scenarios. I'm debating between the B and C+. I'm gonna go C+. Yeah, I guess like worst case scenario is they never play a level 4, but it looks like there's just so many level 4s in the format at the moment, so at the very least you can get a 1-for-1 out of this. But the potential upside of getting a 2 to 3-for-1 off of it is also pretty nice. I want to bump this up to B-. Now I'll stay C+. I'll stay C+. It does seem like a very good card though. So maybe the grade, I'm not giving it that much justice. Does he have a Slinky? Gorichin Kuwataga. I don't know. I probably botched that. Despite its small size, this monster has powerful jaws that can rip metal to shreds. Okay, so that's just metal. Is that a Slinky? Well, I mean, 1700, you know, not the absolute worst, but I think we're long past that at this point. And also, I have a soft spot for insects. You are going to get a B- for art. I do like the design. Invitation to a Dark Sleep. Oh, I've not read the card text yet. Love the name. Already starting off strong. When this monster is summoned, excluding special summon, select one of your opponent's monsters. As long as this card remains face up on the field, the selected monster cannot attack. Oh man, it's a tribute. I was just too excited with the name and art. I didn't look at the stars. I mean, if we're still on the summon skull and try to beat down thing, maybe it's fine, but as a tribute, I really don't like this. Which is a shame because I really like this effect, and I feel like if this effect was also in like sealed or limited, it'd be such an good pickup, but as it stands as a tribute, and excluding special summon, you know, so you have to normal this thing, which really makes it even worse. Oh man, maybe at 4-star it'd be too good though. Would it? I don't know. Would it be too good as a 4-star? Maybe if you like taxed its stats a little bit more, made it like a 1K with a 1200, would that even still be playable? I don't really know. Well, thank God that that's not the case, because that would be way harder to grade. This one I'm just going to give a D. Spikebot, a mechanical soldier created by a wicked sorcerer, attacks with 2 steel balls attached to its arm. Yeah, that's pretty metal. That is pretty sick. Yeah, look at these abysmal stats though. Wow. That is some pack filler. That is some pack filler. I like it. Very simplistic. I mean, it's just going to be flinging around this flail arms that it has. These things are massive too. Yeah, that's going to be a C+ for art. It's very simple. It's very simple. All right, this thing's just goofy. Bite shoes. Flip. Change the battle position of one face-up monster on the field. Its flip effect is also goofy. Oh, the actual card has different text. Change the attack or defense position of one face-up monster on the field. The card must remain face-up. Strange. I'm gonna go with the Oracle text, I assume. Yeah, this is just not good. I mean, no stats. Effect is bad. Nah, you just get an F. Get out of here. This thing is too goofy, though. It's a high heel that just eats your foot. Here we got Deep Sea Warrior. As long as Yumi is up on the field, this card is unaffected by any spell cards. Okay. The Yumi deck is coming along, I guess. Not the best payoff, though. Like, criminally understated. I guess it dodges removal. Can this thing even dodge an attack? Probably not. I hate to give a card with an effect an F, because in some world, maybe it was playable, but I just not see that. And this card inflicts a battle damage to your opponent's life points. You can select one Paradise card from your deck, shuffle the deck, then place Parasite Paradise on top of the deck. Oh, I need to look at what that card does. I had to skip ahead a bit to the super rares, but here is Parasite Paradise. Flip, put this card face up in your opponent's deck and shuffle it. When your opponent draws this card, it is special summoned to their side of the field in face-up defense position and inflicts 1,000 damage to them. Then, while this card is face up on the field, all monsters your opponent controls become insect-type monsters. Love, love, love the design of this card, and I'm glad they tried something this unique so early on. That is so cool. This is something that we saw in Hearthstone. There was like bombs you could put into their deck and stuff like that. Really, really cool. It does get a bit messy in paper. I could see this card being lost a ton. People just keeping it in their deck after the game's done and then taking it with them. There's a lot of complications when it comes to paper game with something like this. That said, it's also not very good. Unique in this case doesn't make it good enough to play, I don't think. Unless there's more of this Parasites archetype that I'm missing. More things to incentivize insects to become, or their monsters to become insects, like the card that says insect type monsters can't attack. I guess that's technically a payoff, but kind of a pipe dream. So back to Drill Bug. This thing has to connect basically with their face. I mean, there's not going to be that much that you're going to be able to do damage with 1100. I mean, if you're building your deck around this, then you're probably going to have to play this card at this point. So if you're going for the insect deck, I mean, I guess this makes it a D. If you're trying to do this Parasite Turbo, this is going to be like a retroactive D, because if I see more Parasite cards that make the archetype kind of flow a little better, then maybe I can errata that grade as I go. But I think for now, we're just going to give D to Drill Bug. And if you build your deck around it and you need the Parasite Paradise, you're probably going to have to begrudgingly play this. Which brings me to this, where, again, this is kind of what you're building around, I assume. You want all of their monsters to be insect type and then stop their attacks or disrupt them other ways. I guess get a little burn in too. So I'm going to give this one a D as well. We're going to give the archetype a D for now, and then kind of see where it goes from there. Still do really like the design, though. This is like a B tier design, but D tier power level. I have a Distant Coders stream up, and he's watching a tournament right now, and oh my god, I am glad if I do try Paper Yu-Gi-Oh! Later this year, that tier elements will be gone, because oh my goodness, these turns, man. I really hope Hungry Burger Turbo is not this long. Shadow of Eyes. When a monster is set to your opponent's field, target one of those set monsters, change that set monster to face up attack position. Flip effects are not activated. Interesting. Okay, so it gives you a little insight about what's... This one is a bit tough, because negating a flip effect and getting information is good. Is it worth a card, though? I wish this card, I mean, you can't really do this for Yu-Gi-Oh! But if this were a magic card, if it said draw a card at the end, I'd love it so much. But you can't do that here. Maybe for a trap card, it wouldn't be as bad. But, and it is when a monster is set. So something that's already set, you can't even get info of, let's say on their draw step. That makes this like not only kind of not worth it, but also more restrictive in a way. Yeah, that's why we're probably never playing this for any reason. Like, even with Cyberjar running around, sometimes you gotta say screw it and run to the Cyberjar. We gotta figure it out if it's a Sangan or a Cyberjar, and might as well put a card that does something in your deck rather than this at that point. So we're gonna go, yeah, we're just gonna go F for Shadow of Eyes. I think you're never playing this. Type 0 Magic Crusher. Ooh, discard one spell card from your hand. to inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent's life points. Continuous spell, huh? In Yu-Gi-Oh fashion, I assume there's a loop with this somehow. I don't think those equip cards work with this. Those ones that like to put themselves back on top of the deck. If so, I mean, that would be a way to get consistent 500 points of damage, but I'm pretty sure those don't count as spells. This might be only referring to normal spells. I mean, so with that in mind, I mean, definitely fine for the burn deck. But if you're in burn, your burn spells are probably gonna do more than 500 by that point. On the flip side, if let's say you don't need, if you are playing burn and you don't need the Raigeki anymore, or you know, you don't need some of your supportive cards that's gonna help stabilize the board anymore, I mean, this could be a way to get out of your hand. Maybe play it as like 1 or 2 of in your deck. But like, would you play this as a 3 of as a backup plan? I don't really think so. Let's go D for Magic Crusher here. Again, not the worst line of text in the world, but doesn't really seem like you would want to play this. I feel like you just want to play your spell cards and not toss them at your hand for 500 points. But again, if there is some sort of loop with it, I could see bumping it up a little bit more. Infinite Dismissal. Level 3 or lower monsters are destroyed during the end phase of the turn that they are normal summoned or flip summoned. Level 3 or lower. Well, this just hoses some sort of decks, right? I mean, the best normals probably are still 4s, right? This is making me... As I'm sitting here just staring at this card, it's making me think I might have undergraded the Ladybug a little bit. Maybe that just was a B, because if I'm thinking of the level 3 or lower ones, I'm actually just thinking of flip monsters. And this is not going to stop their flip effects, because typically the level 3 or lower are just going to die in combat anyway. Right? So like, really, what is this stopping? There's nothing that's... The thing I want to remove are the big creatures that are threatening me with attack points. And the small ones are already getting their effects anyway. Why am I using this? The text seems very strong. The use case doesn't seem, to me at least, like it's worth it. Maybe it's a sideboard card in some matchups. I don't know by this set if it changed the meta that much at all. So maybe as I see more of the cards in this set, maybe there's more stronger level 3 or lower monsters that are worth destroying at the end phase to maybe keep somebody off a tribute or something like that. But I want to give this like a higher grade, but I'm struggling to find a reason to. It feels like it should be like a B, like maybe a B plus, but I want to give it a D. I'm just gonna give it a D. I think this one might be one of the ones where I'm like maybe very far off on. Like I'm missing something very obvious. But I'm gonna give Infinite Dismissal a D. Round Collapse. Here we have a continuous spell. Select 2 main monster zones on the field. Neither player can use the selected zones. You cannot select a zone that is occupied by a monster card. Okay, okay. I mean, maybe it's part of some sort of combo that you lock up all their monster zones before they can play the game. I'm assuming that's not a thing by now. Yeah, I don't know. This card doesn't do anything. I don't like it. 2 monster zones is nothing. Main monster zones. Was there... Wait, this has to be errated, right? Because there wasn't an extra... Was there an extra deck zone in early Yu-Gi-Oh? I'm pretty sure there was not. Like, I'm gonna say I'm 99% sure there was. Did it actually say main monster zones back in the day? I have to go check now. Yeah, it just says monster card zones in the original. Okay. Not like that matters too much for the grade or anything, but yeah, I mean, just you're not playing this. It's gonna be enough. Insect Imitation. Tribute 1 monster, special summon 1 insect type monster from your deck whose level is 1 higher than the tributed monster. Okay. We got a little birthing pod action here. They have a birthing pod in early. I mean, it's not really the same as birthing pod. Same kind of concept though. Konami should sue Wizards for everything they own and take over the game. So I'm liking the insect love here. I really just don't know what the cool combo is here with it. Whatever grade I give it is just truly just dependent on what cards I see later. Yeah, this one's like, no matter what I give it, I'm probably wrong. So I'll give it like a cop-out C. I mean, the power level's there. Cheating something out, especially 1 level higher, especially when you're talking about different tribute levels, right? So you're tributing a level 4, you get a level 5, kind of not having to draw it. Extra copies of your tribute insects. But yeah, we're just gonna go C for now. Like I said, it's really tough to grade this. Reign of Mercy. Love the art. Look at that. It is flourishing in that sand-filled desert. It's always the cool, really like nice, vibrant art. That's just life game. Oh, it's both players too. Oh, even better. Yeah, okay. Surely there's a combo with your opponent gaining life in this set. Otherwise, why? Like, truly, why? This one gets an art grade. I'm not gonna give this an F. Rain of Mercy, B for art. Here we have a Cold Wave. This card can only be activated at the start of main phase 1 until your next turn. You and your opponent cannot play or set any spell or trap. Oh, I didn't notice that. Has it always said if a card is banned on the card page? So it says TCG banned, OCG banned. Interesting. That's kind of cheating a little bit. Basically, I was looking up some rulings on Cold Wave here, because now that I know it's double banned, I can obviously see why this would be banned in current day Yu-Gi-Oh, because this kind of skips your opponent's turn in a lot of decks. But for back then, I was just wanted to double check what they meant by play. The fact that this turns off their back row for a turn is huge, right? Let's say your opponent's playing a trap deck, they have a bunch of like mirror forces or whatever lined up, and you can just switch those off for a full turn. You do not have to worry about it. Actually, even their turn too, right? So all their continuous, all their whatever, you don't have to worry about any spells for a turn. And you always get first crack back at it, you know what I mean? You always get the tempo on your side, because all the restrictions are lifted at the start of your turn. So spells are the best card type in the game. I mean, if it wasn't already known between Dark Hole, Raigeki, all those and the original couple sets, as of another set I go with Painful Choice, all the hand disruption, right? Turning that off for a full turn. I did think of Giant Trinade back then, because I originally gave it a lower grade because I thought the game was so slow to the point where that tempo would not matter that much. But if the tempo does matter a little bit more than I gave it credit for, this is also kind of the same tempo card. Instead of sending it back to hand, they just can't play anything. They literally can't even use it, even if it is a spell card. Because even if Giant Trinade sends back a card to their hand, they can play it on their turn. This says no. You're not doing anything. You're not doing any spells. We're just gonna fight with our creatures on the ground. I mean, even if in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like an all monster deck or something, just being in the sideboard, or like it would keep any decks from playing spells. It would be almost meta warping in that regard, so I think Cold Wave gets an A. We got Burning Land, a continuous spell. When this card is activated, if there are any field spell cards on the field, destroy them. During each player's standby phase, the turn player takes 500 damage. Okay, I mean, not the worst burn spell in the world. It's a slow chip. I feel like the field spell thing maybe just not that relevant at this point, especially when it's only on activation, so assuming that they could just play another one if they have one. How good is the turn player takes 500 each turn? I think it's solid. Puts you both on a clock, but obviously the clock's going to be a little bit shorter for your opponent. Is it like absurd? Is it a staple? Probably not. That's why I think I'm going to give this a nice solid C. Back to the vanillas. Here we have Overdrive, an all-terrain armored vehicle armed with a heavy-duty machine gun. You ripped me right out of Fantasyland with the boomerang with the skull on it, and this is just a fucking Jeep with a gun. I'm down. I'm totally down. Earth. I love those, I have the deck. It's freaking trains. It's just a big fucking, when it slams down on Master Duel, I feel that. Like, I literally feel the shaking in my room. Yu-Gi-Oh will have an archetype to scratch anybody's itch. You want like a cutesy archetype? You know, you can go Ghost Trick or something like that. You know, it's adorable little animal. Or Fluffles. They're so damn cute. Or no, not Fluffles. Melfies. Fluffles are kind of cute too, in their own creepy way. And then if you want like big, gross insects, you got that. If you just want a car, you have that too. Like, what else do you need? Overdrive, you get a B. Thank you for being there for the vehicle enthusiasts. Is that the chicken game guy? Absolute monstrosity of a tank. Oni Tank T-34, an armored tank possessed by a fiend that will pursue enemies until they're crushed. What can I say? I mean, the card speaks for itself. Oni Tank T-34. Pursue enemies until they're crushed. It's beautiful. A for Oni Tank. Oh my god. And we've turned the knob way back to reality. Bats from the netherworld that use their hypersenses to detect enemies. I was more akin to Oni Tank. Trickbat, you're solid too. You'll get a C. Bubonic Vermin. Flip, you can special summon one Bubonic Vermin from your deck in face down defense position. Then shuffle your deck. Okay, so these are not as good as the, oh boy, I'm gonna butcher their names, I'm sure. Nimble Momonga and the thing that looks like a virus. a germ of some sorts. Not as good as them, but still in that same kind of camp. It replaces itself, which is important. It'll thin your deck if you're into that camp, which there's a lot of deck thinning already in Yu-Gi-Oh by this point, so do you really need more? Maybe, actually. It's solid though. It's solid. It probably did not see play at the time, but probably wouldn't be the worst card in your deck. But like I said in the other video, you're going to draw 2 and you're going to cry. So Bubonic Vermin, you're gonna get a C-. Attack and receive. You can only activate this card when you take damage to your life points. Okay. Inflict 700 points of damage to your opponent's life points. Also inflict 300 points of damage to your opponent's life points for each attack and receive in your graveyard. Burn spell that gets better in multiples. I don't know if I like the condition here. When you take damage to your life points. So actually this could be a combo with the turn player takes 500 thing, because then you can kind of flip this in response. So that'd actually be a way, because the way I saw the burn deck is you want to wall up on the ground, like just gum up the board and remove things while you can continuously ping your opponent. So if you're doing that, you know, you're not going to be taking a lot of damage, presumably, but combined with that other card, maybe it could see some play. There's also actually a couple other cards. The one kind of floodgatey card that deals 100 to you every turn for upkeep, which is like nothing. Also could be paired with this, because this doesn't say your opponent needs to deal the damage. Combined in the right deck could, you know, get you over the finish line. If you get all 3 of these off in a game, which would probably be pretty rare to do, definitely adds up. We're gonna go D+ for attack and receive. Maybe teetering towards C-. You can only activate this card when your opponent's hand is 6 or more cards and your hand is 2 or less. Okay, so that condition is already in La La Land. Toss a coin and call heads or tails. If you call it right, draw cards until your hand has 5 cards. If you call it wrong, skip your next turn. Oh my god, you have to have the stars aligned to even activate this card. And then you have to win a coin flip. Yeah, I mean, it's an F. It's such an F. But I mean, if you get there, you get there, right? 6 or more cards, what are they doing? If like you're specifically fighting Exodia and then you win the coin flip, then you can like draw 3 to 4 to 5. Yeah, no, yeah, we're just gonna F gamble here. That's just not playable. Okay, here we got Sky Scout. Somebody mentioned to look at the errata for this. They said Imperial Order, which I know of. I don't know of the errata, but I know of that card. And they said Sky Scout, but it's a vanilla, so I guess I'll check it out real quick. It was called Harpy's Brother. I could see why that might be a problem. That's in the Frog the Jam camp of, they probably didn't want this to be a Harpies card in the archetype. So, okay, cool. Cool, I like it. Make him a harpy. Why can't he be one? That's a little bit of discrimination. With eyes like a hawk and a flying speed exceeding Mach 5, this monster is a master of the sky. Damn, he's got the early 2000s edge to him too. I like that. I like that. As a kid, I probably would have loved collecting this guy. Does he have like gloves that go up to his arms? All right, Sky Scout, you'll make it into the Harpies again one day. I believe in you. Oh wait, it's an 1800 actually. It actually gets a B. I was gonna give it a B for art and like trying to help a brother out. But no, it's an 1800. It just gets a legitimate B, not an art B. Flying Kamakiri number 2. It's number 1 in like Legends of Blue Eyes. I remember flying Kamakiri, a flying mantis that primarily feeds on insects. It's just like a regular flying mantis. Yeah, solid. I like it. I like C+ for art on this one. Oh, I love this card. Cyber Falcon, a jet-powered hawk that travels at the speed of sound. Look at how fucking cool that thing looks. Are you kidding me? A metal Falcon? Look at that thing. It's got freaking Terminator eyes, man. This card's not treated as a cyber card. I don't want it in that trash archetype. I'm kidding. Cyber fans, please. Yeah, A for Cyber Falcon. Darkfire Soldier number 2. A warrior who gained immeasurable power from the heart of a volcano. Damn, look at him. He's just on fire. He's got flaming katanas. That's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, if your katanas were not on fire, I'd probably put you at C+. Katanas on fire? That's a B-. Maybe it was Mr. Volcano who lit his katanas on fire. This seemingly mild-mannered creature has an extremely volatile temper. I'm digging the hairdo. Kind of looks like a rose. Well, Mr. Volcano, there's not really much to say about you. Yeah, but we'll give you a C+. give you a C+. No flaming katanas in this one, but here's the first Darkfire Soldier, an explosive expert from a special elite force. Those are some crazy abs. Your machete is not on fire though. I'm sorry, I gotta, rules are rules, Darkfire Soldiers. C+ for you. Light your scimitar on fire, please, all right? Twin-headed fire dragon. 2 dragons fused as one from the effects of the Big Bang. Holy shit. Does this flavor text alone confirm that Yu-Gi-Oh is an atheist card game? That is crazy. This art is confusing me though. Does its tail have like it looks like a brain? Like this fusion went wrong. Like the thing from Dragon Ball, something you fucked up the fusion. Then again, I guess it was the Big Bang. This thing's been alive for, I don't even know, ever. The effects of the Big Bang? Yeah, I don't know, man. That's really weird. I'm just gonna give it a cop-out C for art, because the flavor, the art, I'm losing it with this one. So yeah, we're just gonna give it a C. I'm gonna run to the next card. Yeah, Flame Champion, a warrior protected by a flaming shield that nullifies any attack. Okay, I can mentally comprehend this one here. Real simple. You know what? I gave Flaming Katanas a B-. There's no reason I can't give Flaming Shield a B- too. So B- for you, Flame Champion. During your opponent's standby phase, you can pay 500 life points to randomly select one card in your opponent's hand and look at it. Normally, I'm saying life points don't really matter, but they don't really matter for costs that can give you a good payoff. I don't really know about this payoff. Could be a way to trigger that other burn spell, but yeah, I don't think that's enough. We're gonna give you an F. Respect play. During their respective turns, each player must show their opponent their hand. All these weird information gathering cards. Again, I don't really think this is worth playing that much. Maybe be more one-sided or get you your card back after playing this. Imagine drawing 2 of these. That's just horrible. It's hard for you to bluff something when you play this card and your opponent still gets the benefits of the card. Like, yeah. Light of Intervention. While this card is on the field, monster cards cannot be set or flipped face down. A monster card would be set. It is normal summoned in face-up defense position. Okay. Now, this might have a little bit of legs. This makes it so flip monsters are nullified. So your Cyber Jar, I don't even know if you're still playing Man-Eater Bug at this point with all these crazy jars. But, you know, your Morphing Jar and stuff like that, they're unplayable now, right? That's what makes me think this is actually pretty good. This looks like a sideboard B. With the power level of the flip monsters and just not being able to bluff a possible flip monster, let's say like a Sengen or you put a Witch down. Yeah, I think sideboard B, maybe even sideboard A for Light of Intervention. If they're playing a ton of flips and they're banking on the jar strategy, makes it so they can't play the game. So yeah, Major Riot. Looks like they're running away scared. That doesn't look like a riot. You can activate this card when 1 or more of your monsters are returned from the field to your hand by your opponent's effect. Return all monster cards on the field to your respective hands. Both you and your opponent then special summon from your hand the same number of monster cards on the field in face down defense position? What a mouthful. I guess this would be a way to cheat something out, right? Like a big tribute and kind of re-trigger any flip effects that already have gone off. But the condition is they need to bounce something to your hand. Not just something, a monster to your hand. Just seems so like it's not going to happen unless you have a Hain. It's Hain's meta, but I feel like there's better flips at this point. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to even trigger this. F for Major Riot. The Regulation of Tribe. Declare 1 type of monster. Monsters of the declared type cannot attack. Tribute 1 monster from your side of the field during... Oh my god. I only read the first half, and then the second half is like, oh, yeah, that's a cost. Imagine if Modern Floodgates had that, kind of restriction on it. I guess they're not even modern floodgates, they're old floodgates. Yeah, this does not seem worth it. You're gonna run out of resources way faster than them, even if you're playing like a bunch of cards that like resummon themselves. But even then, the other one that we just saw was a flip effect, so that's not gonna get triggered off the tribute. Maybe there's a world where you can maybe buy a couple turns by tributing like your Sengens and all those other tutors. No, because not even the tomato or the rat can actually search off of this either. It'll be strong for a turn, but you're gonna eat away your own board, and they're just gonna be ready to attack once that's done. Unless there's really just an infinite loop with this, where the tributed monster always comes back to the field. I'm gonna give this an F. I do not like this. All right, here we got a DNA Surgery. Activate this card by declaring 1 monster type. type. All face-up monsters on the field become that type. I think I have seen this card on Master Duel before. I don't remember what strategy it was using, but I remember I beat it pretty swiftly. Yeah, I mean, aside from the insect thing that I saw earlier, I don't really see too much of a use for this. This looks like one of those that gets better as time goes on, as more archetypical things get released. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's F for now, but might find a niche later on. Maybe it's not even an F for now. Maybe if that insect thing is actually kind of like a rogue strategy. Again, I have not seen any more of that type yet. So I'll give DNA Surgery a D for now, especially the fact that the types sometimes are very important for your own deck, so this can hose decks of other types. You're playing the field spells that buff the attack of certain type. I don't think you're playing those at this point, but this would be a way to turn those off. That's just like one very simple example that's in the format right now. You know, could have an interaction here. Yeah, so like D for DNA Surgery at the moment, but I think it would absolutely find a home later down the line. It's just a metal detector. Okay. You can activate this card when a continuous trap card is activated. Negate all continuous trap cards during the turn this card is activated. It's a one-time continuous trap negation, and only when it's negated, or only when it's activated. What continuous spells are you that scared of at this point? And what are you that scared of for just a single turn? Why not just play spell trap removal? Like, this just seems like so much more niche than actually just playing something that will interact with the card itself, because this is only for like a turn, and assumedly not even your turn. I mean, I guess if you're like really in the running for something like this, then maybe like as a sideboard card specifically, but nah, I think this is just an F. Mystic Probe. You can only activate this card when it can. Oh yeah, we're gonna give you the same grade here. F. I mean, again, if there is some absurd cards you need just one turn of breathing room, maybe you could play this, but again, just remove it. Find something to remove the actual problem. Negating it for one turn probably won't get you over the finish line. Okay, so this is kind of a cycle here. This is for the same thing for field spells. It's still going to be an F. The same thing for equip cards. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, this one's an A. This one's absolutely an A. Okay, here we have a Driving Snow. You can only activate this card when one or more of your trap cards are destroyed and sent from the field to the graveyard by a card effect your opponent controls. And then you may destroy one spell trap card on the field. It's counter removal for their removal. I mean, if the meta is very back row heavy and you're using mystical space typhoons and stuff like that, sure. I mean, I guess would not be the worst. Yeah, I don't know with this one. I keep on trying to like make the argument, but it's like, if it gets mass removed, then it's useless. I'm like, well, so it's the rest of your back row, you know? So I don't know. It doesn't seem insane, but it doesn't seem that bad either. I guess the one thing that makes this a little worse, or a lot worse, is it only specifically mentions trap cards. If this said set cards, or just something in the back row, I think I might like this a little bit more. I'm gonna go D for Driving Snow. Probably just not the best card. Here we got Gust. Oh, she's hanging out for dear life. You can activate this card when, okay, so it's the spell version, and it so just destroys a spell or trap on the field. Again, I kind of wish they just combined these cards together. I feel like it would have been playable if it destroyed a set card in the back row. You know, I would have gave it maybe like a C+, maybe a C. But as it stands, if you're gonna split them up like this, I don't see the reason to put this in your deck, really, so I'm gonna give this another D. Select one attacking monster, gain life points equal to its attack. Yeah, we all know where this one's going. Earth Shaker, select 2 monster card attributes. Your opponent then selects one of the 2 attributes and destroys all face-up monsters with that attribute on the field. If the meta right now is mostly dark monsters, this only really hoses like dual attribute decks where they have both really good targets. It's so tough. I like the design of the card, that's for sure. Kind of an edict effect. It's like a mass board wipe edict effect. Again, first of all, giving your opponent the choice of anything always makes a card worse automatically. And second, there's just not enough attributes going around at this point to really make this worth it. So, while the card looks like it might actually have some power, maybe this is like a little bit better in sealed, where you're kind of just playing with what you get, as opposed to constructed, where it's all dark monsters. Still some power there. I'll give this I'll give Earthshaker a D. Solomon's Law Book. Damn, he keeps a book in a chest. What is in there? Skip your next standby phase. Why are we doing this? Why? Solomon, why are we skipping our standby? Why are we spending a card to skip our standby? I haven't seen anything where there's like upkeep costs. What's the horrible magic mechanic? Cumulative upkeep? Like, there's nothing like that going on right now. What is Solomon cooking? Skip your next standby phase. That's so specific. I'm just gonna Google this card. I want to see if something was broken with this. Okay, you can use it in Time Lords to stop them from shuffling back. I've never even seen that card before. Stromberg, where they want you to banish the top 10 cards of your library to keep it during your standby, so I guess you skip your standby phase. So strange. So strange. And it stops DPE from summoning. Side note, side tangent about DPE. I have DPE in one of my decks, and it still feels really strong. I don't know why I don't see it anymore. The Anaconda's still legal. The DPE is still legal, but you don't get the draw too? Is that why everyone is playing it? I still think DPE is just really, really good. Maybe the meta decks don't mend well with the Anaconda? Or like they don't want the bricks in their deck? Or is it Fusion Destiny going to 1 that was the problem? I don't know. But we're in 2002 right now. That's decades later. Who cares about that crap? This is the good stuff right here. Solomon's Law Book. I mean, yeah, F. I'm at a loss for words. 7 completed. Activate this card by choosing attack or defense. Equip only to a machine monster. Gain 700 attack or defense, depending on the choice. No, only machines? No, we're not doing that. There was already better generic equipment by this point. Yeah, F for 7 completed. 3-headed. How do you pronounce G-E-E? Is it Yugioh or Yugioh? English is so annoying. A 3-headed nocturnal monster that is absolutely ruthless while fighting. Pretty creepy little masks thing you got going on there. The rest of the body is very strange. You got 4 fingers, just pure red. Like the right arm looks a little more different, or like the right hand looks like it has like more depth than the left. Yeah, okay, we're just gonna go C on art for you. We're just gonna move on from there. Oh, it's been years. It's been years. We finally got to seal Ogre Grotto, a mechanized iron doll with tremendous strength. All right, Blitzcrank, you're looking pretty good. Wow, those stats are so bad. I'm gonna give you a C. All right, here's the short prints, and we didn't want too many people getting a hold of Island Turtle. 2000 defense, still probably the benchmark for defense for a normal summon at this point. A huge turtle that is often mistaken for an island. I mean, if his head's not sticking up, I would just assume this is an island. Really like the trope of giant living thing. Giant living thing's back is a landmass and people live there. Like, I like that. It's pretty neat. And for that reason, C+ for Island Turtle. Here is Gradius, a high-performance jet fighter with powerful capsules for variable attack capabilities. It is just a spaceship with some guns. Yeah, you get a C. You gotta see. I think the art would have to be very egregious for me to not give a vanilla lower than a C, because they're all just really solid, you know? But here is Bombardment Beetle. Flip, pick and see 1 face down defense position monster card on your opponent's side of the field. If it is an effect monster, its flip effect is not activated, and if the card is not, return it to its original position. Okay, so by this point, you're probably setting mostly effect monsters. So I don't think this has too much of a chance of a missing. The text that its flip effect is not activated is also very important. I think the only thing this would have a trouble with is that 3000 defense point thing, if they tribute set it. But if you see a tribute set, you probably would understand that it's Labyrinth Wall. That makes Bombardment Beetle pretty solid. Probably not the best. I mean, you still would get some value out of Sangan Witch if you place them face down. I think Bombardment Beetle gets a C. Solid little line of text. Definitely can 1-for-1 something, but probably was not played in the meta decks at the time. Oh, there's the Thousand Eyes Idol. Wow, look at that art on that thing. A wicked entity that controls the hearts of men. Its 1000 eyes are able to see and expand the negative influences in an individual soul. It is a 0/0 1-star. That is so cool. I really hope this is the only 0/0. It just feels right for this kind of card. Just like very, very powerful flavor text. You just know this entity is just like all-seeing and all-knowing, but it actually it can't fight. It doesn't have combat stats. It beats you in other ways. And those other ways are via fusion summon. But also, you're never playing this because you're cheating out the fusion summon. So, you get an art grade. He has a traffic cone on his head. Oh, no, wait, that's just his sleeves, stockings. I'm digging the purple boots and the gloves. Why does it have a cape? So I'm talking myself down a little bit, because I feel like this thing would be more mysterious if it didn't have a cape and like boots and gloves. I wish this was just a green blob of eyes that just has insane mystical powers. So C- for Thousand Eyes Idol. I did not think I was gonna give this vanilla such low of a grade, but there was some work to be done. Here we got Sword Hunter. At the end of the battle phase, if this card was destroyed by a monster's by battle and sent to the graveyard, this battle phase, equip all those monsters from the graveyard to this card as an equip spell. With this effect, this equipped monster gains 200 attack. Okay, so the scenario I'm thinking of is you destroy their tutor cards, and depending on how the ruling works, you can take their tomato or their Sangan or whatever, and they don't get the search effect. But the text that's saying it is sent to the graveyard means I think it might touch the graveyard, register as being destroyed by battle, like go on the chain, and then this is the second chain. You know what I mean? So I actually don't think this thing stops those cards from actually searching it, which means this thing is a very overpriced, overstated thing that doesn't really have that much of a use case. It can keep monsters out of their graveyard, which I was told is going to become a thing very, very soon. I guess in a way that's something that could happen, but they still get the value out of it. So yeah, we're gonna go D- for Sword Hunter. If it works the way that I'm thinking it works, where they still get like the search effects, really not a reason to play it. Even if you could negate their search effects, it would still be such a pain in the ass to get out to begin with. Yeah, we're gonna go D- for Sword Hunter. Solemn Wishes. Increase your life points by 500 points each time you draw a card. Gain 500 at the start of your turn. Gain 500 for each pot agreed. That art is really, 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 really nice. That kind of reminds me of like old school anime, like just design wise. Maybe it's the face. Yeah, looks very, very pretty. Very pretty. I'm gonna have to give this an F for not being playable, but I get a B for art. Minor Goblin Official. Oh, look at him. He's ugly as hell. You can only activate this card when your opponent's life points are 3,000 or less. Inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent's life points during each of his or her standby phases. Okay, I mean, if you're on the burn strategy, this says this puts them on an official clock. This is not double-sided like the other continuous spell, so this is only going to be hitting them on their turn. How fast are you going to be getting them down to 3,000 or less? Oh man, I feel like I would have to like sit here and math out what like the average life points of my opponent would be after a couple turns of trying to burn them out. I do feel like I would rather play the 500 for each player card over this, because I can kind of guarantee that burn, as opposed to just being like having to sit on this card possibly for a while before I get them low enough. Inevitability is good, but the other card is also inevitability. Gets them started sooner too. Maybe I could see playing like a copy of this. I definitely don't want to draw more than two, especially before the threshold is available. Yeah, I mean, it probably is not like the worst. Maybe you would play this as a one-of in the burn deck. Definitely could be like a nice little tech card maybe. So we're gonna go D for Minor Goblin Official. Minor Goblin Official. What is that thing? What the heck? Is that a finger? Oh god. Oh my lord, what is that? Hisitai? When your opponent's monster attacks this card in face down defense position, this card becomes an equipped spell card, equipped to the attacking monster. During each of your opponent's standby phases, increase your life points by half the attack of the monster equipped with this card. So this weird finger parasite latches onto their card and then will slowly gain you life points. I wish this was a loss of their life rather than a gain of mine. I feel like that would make this a little bit more playable. But again, it's still a neat design. I like the concept of it. Just does not seem like it's worth playing though. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a life gain card. So, Pneumonious Healer, stop with the life gain, please. You can only activate this card when you take damage to your life points. Increase your life points by 1,000. Also increase your... Okay, so it's life gain card of the other burn spell. Yeah, we're not playing this. We're gonna give you an F. The Eye of Truth. Your opponent must keep their hand revealed. Once per turn during your opponent's standby phase, if they have spell cards in their hand, they gain 1,000 life points if they have a spell in their hand at resolution. Okay. So your opponent's hand is revealed. Hand is revealed during their standby. A spell in their hand. They gain 1,000. Oh, okay. So at resolution, that means if during standby they had a quick play? Resolution? Well, I don't even know. I don't know what this is for. I don't know why you're playing this to gain them life. If there's some sort of punishment for them gaining life, which I have not seen yet. So that leads me to believe there is some sort of thing where it's like, oh, it might be like one of the burn deck bots that instead of, it kind of reverses the life gain, where this would deal 1,000 points of damage if they have a spell in their hand at resolution. Until I really see that, and I genuinely don't think that's probably where the burn deck would be at this point, I'm gonna give this an F. Could be revised later, but yeah, F for now. I think I might have reviewed this one, or this card looks familiar. The Gift of the Mystical Elf. Increase your life points by 300 points for each monster on the field. More life gain, that's gonna be enough. Time Seal. Skip the draw phase of your opponent's next turn. Man, if you had like 2 of these in your hand and you chain them back to back, man, they're in for a world of hurt. Cause the thing is, skipping their draw phase at its surface is a 1-for-1. Right? But if you think about it like this, if you, in some ways, it's a time walk. Maybe they really needed that next draw to progress the game state in a meaningful fashion. So what that means is you drew for turn, you played this, you skipped their draw phase, and you get another draw phase. So like, I don't want to say it's like a fully like you skipped their turn, because it's not the same as that. In some scenarios, it just might be that. You know, it's a very roundabout 2-for-1. Yeah, this is a strong effect, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna give this a B. Oh wow, I see here it's actually still limited in both formats. Now I'm gonna go with my initial impression. But like, would you just play this in every deck though? How better was this in early Yu-Gi-Oh than current Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, all right, I'll give it a B. Just tell me it's an A. That's my request to you all. All right, to the ultra rares, here we have Beast of Talwar. Why is this an UR? Only the master of the sword among fiend type monsters is permitted to hold the Talwar. Oh, is the Talwar 2 swords? That's pretty cool. Buff as fuck too. Again, rocking the freaking 8-pack right there. Yeah, this thing's cool. I like it. Every time a vanilla has the, it's always treated as an X card, I'm like, all right, what future support did this thing get, right? What archetype are you part of? I like it. I like it. Big buff demon thing with 2 freaking swords? Yeah, C+. C+ for Beast of Talwar. The Fiend Mega Saber. Whoa. If your opponent controls at least 2 or more monsters than you do, it's a free special summon. Oh, wow. The Fiend Mega Saber. Was this the start of the Cyber Dragon effect? I have seen those cards before. If your opponent controls... How often will your opponent control that many more monsters than you? 2 or more? They're limited by those, you know, just by normal summon once per turns, assuming there's not too many ways to get more onto the board. I still think it really seems solid. I mean, this thing's pretty big for a free special summon. Maybe I'm overshooting this a little bit, but I'm gonna go B- for the Fiend of Mega Cyber. If you can get this out, maybe you're in a monster light deck, more focused on spells or something like that. I could definitely see this being played for sure. B- for the Fiend Mega Cyber. Here we got Goblin Attack Force. If this card attacks, it is changed to defense position at the end of the battle phase, and its battle position cannot be changed until the end phase of your next turn. 2,300 4-star? Well, this is just the best defender normal summon at this point now. That is absurd. Oh my god. Who cares? I mean, you don't even have to attack with this. You play it and you sit behind it. 2,300 is like, I mean, even Summon Skull will only like tickle you if you know, it tries to run this thing over. And in a pinch, like, who cares? You 1-for-1 remove their thing. Is this like just the gold standard normal summon now? Or is it just like a little bit worse because at best it's a 1-for-1? Insane defender though. Insane defender. Even as a 1-for-1, really, really good. This might just be the best normal summon in the game now, right? How big was Hain again? Or not Hain, Jiraiya? Jiraiya was 2,200. Yeah, Goblin Attack Force. I think it's just an A. It just seems like the best normal summon now. Yeah, A for Goblin Attack Force. 2,300 on the normal summon. That is insanity. There's 1,000 Hours Restrict. We saw you in your promos. Yeah, I mean, not much else to say about you. The fact that you've been banned now puts a little bit more respect on your name. Definitely, like I said, the card in a vacuum is an A. It was just like, how do you actually get it onto the field? But yeah, if you're cheating this thing out, for the time, this is probably the best effect you could have on the card. So yeah, good to see you again. I'm not going to regrade you or anything. I'll see you around 1,000 Eyes Restrict. The Legendary Fisherman. While Yumi's on the field, this card is unaffected by spell effects and cannot be targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. Unaffected by spells and can't be targeted for attacks. Dang, becomes a hexproof magic card. I mean, this is kind of the thing I was looking for if you were to make an equipment deck. Get this tribute summon out, have Yumi on field, also have the good equip spells in your hand. Like, if you get all of those together, this thing becomes kind of a house. I mean, the best way to deal with things in this format is spell effects, aside from the only thing that can really shut you down would be like a mirror force or something like that, right? You make this thing a huge, you know, you use the 1k attack weapon and you use the Nuzzler, get 700 on this, and maybe you can make a freaking budget boggles deck somehow. But it's really reaching at that point. A lot has to go right. You're putting a decent amount of bad cards in your deck to try to make it happen too. This thing's not searchable by any of the smaller tutors. Potential is there. Viability is probably not. I mean, he is a legendary fisherman, but I'm gonna have to give him a D. There's Buster Blader. We've already done him. Here's Premature Burial. Activate this card by paying 800 life points, then target one monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target and equip it with this card. When this card is destroyed, destroy the equipped monster. It is banned in 3 formats. Oh, okay, so somebody mentioned something about this card with Giant Shunade, actually. Because this card won't be destroyed by Giant Shunade, it would just be bounced. So, I assume you just get to keep your monster, because this card's not being blown up, it's just leaving the field. They like to put these very minuscule life point costs on insanely broken spells. Like, it's going to deter us from using it. But yeah, you could actually activate this twice on the same turn. It's another Monster Reborn. And I know just the effect of Monster Reborn is still limited today. I mean, it just keeps getting more powerful with time. And I can see a world where, you know, Premature Barrel, especially in the format of recruiters, if you're getting your Sengen Witch back and then tributing over them again, right? You get your special summon, you get your tribute summon. It could be a mess with Premature Burial. Yeah. I mean, it's Monster Reborn. It's Monster Reborn, but arguably in some cases better. So, yeah, A for Premature Burial. That's a nuts card. I think Cloud Flare is having a bit of an issue. So, here's Ceasefire. What was supposed to be Ceasefire. I wish I could see the art, because it looks pretty cool from the thumbnail. If a face-down defense position monster or effect monster is on the field, change all face-down defense position monsters on the field to face-up defense position. Flip effects are not activated. Also, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each effect monster. That is a lot of text. Let me truly review what this is saying. Oh, there we go. It fixed itself. Okay, so it's an actual ceasefire. They're signing a petition. The effect here, though, seems solid. Again, it gets past all those like the jars. Definitely lets you know what's happening on their side of the field. 500 points of damage. Would this basically only be played in a burn deck at the time? I would assume. These flip effect monsters are not activated at this time. Is there a later time where they activate? It looks good though. It looks solid. So it gives you the cards that just give you information for a card. Not too interested. For the burn deck though, it looks solid. It looks solid. There's probably more effect monsters floating around than usual. So this could stop one of their flip effects, deal 1,000 to them. We'll go just a nice solid C for Ceasefire. Call of the Haunted. Activate this card by targeting one monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target in attack position. The card leaves the field, destroy that monster. When that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. Okay, cool. This is just another Monster Reborn. It's just a trap card this time. So it does make it a little slower. You can't interact with it on the turn that you play it. But again, if you're just regurgitating a recruiter, or if you painful choiced a huge monster into your graveyard. I mean, this just rips this thing right on back. That's something I kept forgetting about, that Painful Choice still exists. I don't know if it was banned by this point, which I don't think it was, but yeah, I mean, if you Painful Choice a bunch of good revive targets into your graveyard, these revival spells just get even more absurd. Yeah, Call of the Haunted, dude, that's just another A. Just more monster reborns. We have the Mad Sword Beast. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Unfortunately for this Sword Beast, looks very, very rabid. I would be running if this thing was charging at me. 1400, it's just not enough. There's not much piercing that's going to be done using this. Maybe over a small flip effect monster, but at that point, they got their value, and I don't really care about the 600 damage I'm going over that thing with, so I don't want to say it's not unplayable, but I don't see this as too much different from a vanilla. So it's going to be an F for me. Oh yeah, these are the rares. Vampire Baby. Oh god, that thing is nasty looking. Oh yeah, that's what I assume a Vampire Baby looks like. At the end of the battle phase, if this card destroys a monster by battle and is sent to the graveyard, this turn you can special summon that monster to your side of the field. Oh damn, that's pretty powerful. I mean, this thing is so small though, is the problem. But being able to steal their guide that you run over is a strong effect. I mean, it's a free special summon. You took their card. But the only thing this is getting over is like the jars. And the flip effects are still going off, right? So do you get to determine how the monster is special summoned? I don't think so. I don't think you can put the jar, let's say you run over a cyber jar. I don't think you can determine or like say like, oh, I'm gonna put this in face down defense. I think it either has to be attack or defense position. I can't give this thing an F. Like legally, I just can't. But it's not running over anything of value, so it's like, why would I play it? I'm gonna give it a cop out D. The line of text is too powerful. Maybe it found a home somewhere, and maybe there's an interaction I'm not thinking that this thing can actually take advantage of at the time. I don't think it saw play. Hayabusa Knight. Is that like a Birdman? With a freaking scimitar? Oh, that thing's sick. This card to make it a second attack during each battle phase. You don't have much stats to be making a second attack with. This is an equipment target. It's not going to dodge removal like a Boggles type creature would. Or monster, rather. But for a very quick round of burst, you put the 1000 attack one on it, or even the Nuzzler. Cool. I actually think this is solid. It's a good little piece of burst. The last equipment one, I forgot his name, but I think he got attack for each equipment put onto him. This is kind of the same thing. I'll give this one a C. Here we got Gravity Bind. Level 4 or higher monsters cannot attack. Oh my. Well, this is really good. I don't know what to say. What are you supposed to do? This is double-sided. Is this the Exodia Floodgate where you flip this and they have to remove it to play the game? I guess they can't attack, but you can still use your jars and flip them over. That'd be a counter to the Exodia strategy with something like this. That's really good. Basically everything of note is level 4 or higher. Maybe I'm overshooting this. I don't think no, actually I don't think I am. I think this is an A. This is just an easy A. You've turned off the battle phase for both players, essentially. This would be a way if you use that direct attack deck. Again, I don't think that's a deck, but if you wanted to, you'd have to play this in order to make it viable. Yeah, a lot of power here in Gravity Bind. Yeah, Gravity Bind gets an A from me. Magic Drain. When your opponent activates a spell card, they can discard one spell card to negate this card's effects. Otherwise, negate the activation of the spell card, and if you do, destroy it. Gives your opponent the option to negate your negate with any spell card that they have. Well, I mean, with the power level of the spell cards in this format, getting rid of another one might be pretty good. It's just that the only thing worth countering would be something you really wanted to stop, and this would give them an out to that. I think the little arrow means it's a counter trap, right? Or is that just a regular trap card? Would it say counter trap in the top brackets, actually? Well, I think with all the busted spell cards in this format, not even this format, just the game at the moment, even if they have to discard another one, I think this is worth it. Yeah, I think B for Magic Drain is where I want to. If the spell cards weren't as good, this is only as good as the spell cards are in the format, and since they're so format warping, every single one of them, I'm gonna have to give this a high grade, even though normally giving your opponent the choice to do something like this is not good. Here we got Dimension Hole Hole. Select one monster on your side of the field and remove it from play until your next standby phase. Ooh, we got Fading. While the monster is removed from play, the monster card zone of the selected monster cannot be used. So like at its surface, also the art, really, really cool. I thought it was an eye at first, because when I clicked on the thumbnail, I thought it was a little eye, but no, it's just a literal dimension hole. You would want to get enter the battlefield effects with this. I don't think there's any enter the battlefield effects. I really want to flicker right now, though, to really abuse dimension hole. If this was a quick play spell, this would be cool to dodge removal. Unfortunately, it's just too slow for that. It's a normal spell. It's in the whole archetype. You know, Trap Tricks can actually search this. That's actually kind of funny. I don't think Trap Tricks can actually use this card at all, but I did see on Twitter the Trap Tricks structure deck. And that looks like an insane value. I might have to pick that up. I think as a player who's going to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Constructed, I don't really want to play Trap Tricks. But they have it evenly matched an Ash Blossom in the deck. That's kind of maybe worth just picking up on its own. So I don't know if Ash Blossom is still really expensive, but I know it's definitely a staple. Anyway, again, tangents. Dimension Hole, I don't think there's much to use it for at the moment. Definitely could be abusable later. So maybe it gets like a future C. Right now, I just don't really see the point. I'm gonna go F on Dimension Hole. Let me know if there's like a little combo with this thing. We got Shift. Oh, I like the cute little art on that. When your opponent targets exactly one monster you control and no other cards for an attack, or with a spell trap effect, target another monster you control that would be an appropriate target, and that attack slash spell slash trap now targets the new target. Some of these cards are becoming a mouthful. I have to like slow my speech down and like sound it out. But okay, so you're redirecting an attack or spell or trap. Nah, I think I would like this more. I'm coming up with fake scenarios where I'd like a card more, but the thing is, like, maybe if your opponent was playing like a Rush Recklessly, I wish I could redirect their Rush Recklessly that they targeted their monster with to mine. I would like that for Shift more than just swapping what my opponent is targeting. Because if it's removal, they're still gonna remove something on my board. And even if I make it more favorable, I still feel like I used a full card for that, and that does not feel worth it. Unless I'm protecting some insane tribute monster that I really need to protect. It's part of my core strategy or something. Yeah, I mean, maybe this has like a small little niche somewhere. I'm gonna give it a D-. It doesn't feel unplayable. We got a quick play spell, Monster Recovery. Target one monster you control that is owned by you. Oh, if that monster is still in the field, shuffle it and your entire hand into the deck. Also, after that, draw cards equal to the number of cards you shuffled from your hand into the deck by this effect. You cannot activate this card if you have a card in your hand that is owned by your opponent. Oh, so if your opponent uses Exchange, which I actually did undergrade a little bit in the last one. A couple of people let me know that it was a little more playable than I let on. So if you use Exchange, you can't use Monster Recovery. So you target a monster, you shuffle it into the deck, you shuffle your hand into your deck, kind of like a weird bad mulligan. Guess it helps you dig a little further. But you go behind on board and card advantage. If it was just card advantage, I've used the I don't know how old that card is, Magical Mallet. I've used that card in my Numeron deck. Don't yell at me. I'm a new bad player, so I'm playing very easy decks. But I've used Magical Mallet in Numeron before as like a mulligan because I'm just looking for the field spell. This is like a bad Magical Mullet. The difference is it's a quick play spell though. So there's a world where maybe if your monster is dead to rights, the drawback of the board is not as much of a drawback. You can refresh your hand before a draw step too. Enough to be a, I'm gonna give it a C-, might be a D+. It's in that very tight range of just, you're probably not playing this, it's very, very filler. Could find a home in some deck that's really digging for a combo. Oh, here we got Skull Invitation. Look at that artwork. Ooh, I love this. Each time a card is sent to the graveyard, inflict 300 damage for each card sent. Does, I assume battle counts? Yeah, no, that would make sense. It is sent to the graveyard after it dies. It is double-sided, but that is nice. You'd assume over the course of the game, you know, a lot of things are exchanging into the graveyard, especially if you're doing, like Sengen type stuff. You're churning through your whole deck, and this actually punishes you for trying to thin your deck out. Yeah, I do like this. The art's really sick too. Oh my god. I don't like it enough to give it like a very, very high grade. I think for the burn deck, it's a nice solid C+. It's a C+. It's continuous. What I like about it is a couple of the burn cards have been very conditional. This one's kind of unconditional, but double-sided as well, though. So the 500 one is double-sided, and this one's double-sided, but I like it. So, C for Skull Invitation. Yugioh? I probably botched that one. When a monster is sent from the field to your graveyard, even during the damage step, target one monster on the field and destroy it. Just sent. At all, period. Could be from a tribute, could be from battle, and you get to 1-for-1 them. I like it. If you're going to be exchanging, I guess I keep having to bring up Witch and Sengen, but it's kind of hard not to with like how insane they are. So I guess if you're Michizoring their Witch and Sengen, it's some bad value, but you could just sit on this until they actually summon something you want to pop. The condition seems a lot less restrictive than others. This can be triggered on their turn and your turn. I like this. I'm gonna give this one a B. I think this is just gonna be nice, solid 1-for-1 removal, even during the damage step. Don't really know the significance of that, but yeah, I like it. B. We're already on number 2. Look at this. Morphing Jar number 2. Shuffle all monsters on the field into the deck. Oh my god, these jar cards, man. Then each player excavates cards from the top of their deck until they excavate the same number of monsters they shuffled into their main deck. Special summon all excavated level 4 or lower monsters in face down defense position. Also send the remaining cards to the graveyard. I guess not as disruptive as 1, even though I don't think Morphing Jar was called to number 1. I think it was just called Morphing Jar. Not as disruptive as Cyber or Morphing. Still very, very board disruptive. Resets the board and finds you new level 4 or lower, especially if you're finding more jars. If you're in the jar archetype, kind of, so to speak. I don't think that's really an archetype, it's just good cards. You're gonna find more jars. I don't think it deserves the A title. I do think it deserves a B, though. This is such a good supporting monster if you do want to go for those big disruptive jar effects of removing everything and flipping 5 monsters over and drawing 5 cards and doing everything that those crazy jars do. Yeah, we're gonna go B for Morphing Jar number 2. Could be a B+. I mean, it's a strong effect. Prohibition. I've played this card in Master Duel. I love it. It's so funny. Activate by declaring 1 card name. Cards of that name and their effects cannot be used. There is a lot of text on the actual card art of this. I'm going to invoke Yu-Gi-Oh! Player rule number 3, and I'm not going to read it. I don't think it's very good, actually. Probably enough, I think it might just be better as time goes on. Might be better in certain very niche metas, but definitely, I think for the time was probably unplayable. Well, actually, maybe not. Everyone's playing the same. Well, I guess if you want to play a deck without Sengen, Witch, Tomato, whatever, you could definitely use Prohibition to hose the opponents that are using it. This is a perfect example of a sideboard card for me. If there is something in your opponent's deck that you cannot deal with, this is what you bring in. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty tough to grade. It really is. For main deck, it's an F. For sideboard, like game 2, probably a B. If the meta calls for it, if you said, okay, your deck is hinged on your Sengen searching a core component of your deck, I'm going to either just prohibit the core components or prohibit the Sengen so you can't get your engine started. Maybe there's a boss monster or something that's like, wow, when this hits the field, I just lose the game. Or maybe you want to prohibit some hand disruption, right? Could be good. Could be good. Yeah, sideboard B for Prohibition. Kind of gives me, another card gave me the Surgical Extraction vibes, but this is also kind of giving me that too, where it's like, or Pithing Needle even. This is Pithing Needle vibes, where it's just like strictly a sideboard card, and it's not even that good in all metas where you can have it in the sideboard. So yeah, B for Prohibition, sideboard B. Here we got the Shallow Grave. Look at this thing coming out right with a big ol' axe too. Look at you. Each player targets 1 monster in their own graveyard. Each player special summons that target from their graveyard in face down defense. Did I review this one? I reviewed something like this one. And some people actually corrected me on, it was a double-sided special summon. I don't remember if it was this specific one, but they were like, hey, you like undergraded this pretty hard because there's a couple ways you can abuse it, but the card text seems exactly like it. And I was like, oh, you don't want to give your opponent a special summon. Well, I mean, regardless, I think what happened was I gave it the last version, or maybe, I don't know if it was this exact same one, but I gave it like an F, I'm pretty sure. But at the end of the day, a Monster Reborn is a Monster Reborn, even if your opponent gets to choose. But if you get the first setup, the first crack at it, it definitely has a lot of power, especially if you resolve a painful choice, right? Like, all right, now you've dumped at least 4 targets into the graveyard that you can shallow grave back. Like on your first turn, I mean, this is just another copy of Monster Reborn, right? I mean, it's not strictly like the other 2 Monster Reborn spells that we saw, but still has some power to it. So C+ for the shallow grave. Here we got Nobleman of Extermination. Select, destroy, and remove from play 1 face down spell or trap card. If it was a trap card, both players must remove from play all copies of that card from their decks. Ooh, that's pretty brutal. So it hits any set card. And if it was a trap, you just remove everything. Even if it's double-sided, that's still pretty good. This is some really nice trap card hate, actually. Is it main deckable, though? Probably not. Like, in the main deck, probably a C. Because assumedly, they're always going to have... Well, actually, is it a C? How many continuous are we saying that we want to play MST truly over this? I mean, this is slower, so it's a normal spell. Yeah, maybe it is just a C, but like a B+ out of the side, maybe even touching an A. It not being quick play is like, it's bugging with me just a little bit. So it's a bit tough for me, but I think I would just want to give it a B. Forced Requisition. Oh, you can activate this card when you discard from your hand. After that, each time you discard from your hand, your opponent must also discard the same number of cards from his or her hand. Ah, okay. So you have to eat the loss first. Then after that, you 1-for-1 them. I don't like the wording after that. I wish this card was a flippable response to the hand disruption that they printed in the last set. The fact that you have to let 1 resolve just makes this feel so much weaker. I mean, if all of the hand disruption was still at 3, maybe this might be worth playing. If it got, you know, limited or banned in the time frame, this becomes obviously weaker. With them all at 3, playable. If not, I'm just gonna give this an F. I feel like you're just not playing this. Appropriate. Activate only when your opponent draws a card outside of either draw phase. After that, each time your opponent draws a card outside of either draw phase, immediately draw 2 cards. I like this one better, but it's not that good either. I mean, I guess everybody said it's not really happening that much right now, but if 3 Upstart Goblin was the meta, get some value off of them wanting to thin their deck. Obviously Pot of Greed's still around. Other than that though, you know, you've kind of just turned off cards that they don't really need to play that much. Yeah, I mean, this thing's just really just too specific. If there was a lot of thinning going on with the Upstart Goblin stuff, like maybe out of the sideboard, but yeah, I think like the other one, we're just gonna go ahead and give this one an F. Oh, they just stabbed a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Holy shit. Banish 1 random card from your opponent's hand face down during your opponent's 4th standby phase. Turn that card to their hand. I mean, if it was a pick and choose, maybe you could get some tempo out of this. Random? There's better hand disruption than that. Still hand disruption at the end of the day, but this one's gonna get like a D. It's hand disruption, but they get the card back later and it's random. Like you could just hit a piece that they just don't care about and you're down a card. So yeah, D, leaning more towards F for Light Force Sword. Here we got to the super rares. We are in the home stretch here. Here we have a Gearfried. The Iron Knight. If either player equips an equip card to this card, destroy that equip card. Okay, so no fooling around with the Megamorphosis or whatever that one was. This also stops the Snatch Steal. Yeah, so no taking this guy. He's an 1800 as well. If we're still in that realm where Mechanical Tracer's still not playable, and this is an 1800 that dodges Snatch Steal, that is just gonna be a B, maybe a B+. Still just gets run over by the Goblin Attack Force and all the dry goo Numos and all that. Still a solid normal summon with kind of just upside, because assumedly you're not playing equipped cards in your deck, right? So yeah, I'm gonna go B for Gearfried the Iron Knight. As a Numeron player, I know this one. Limited removal. Double the attack of the machine monsters. Well, you know what? It's good in Numeron. And I don't think I'm gonna grade it based off of it's a cheesy Numeron card in an already cheesy deck. Maybe it had some uses earlier on. I mean, it's powerful. For the moment, though, this is one where I'm going to give it an in the moment, you're not playing this, it's an F. Future potential, it's like a B minus. Like, this thing can end the game very, very fast if you have the correct board setup. So, yeah. F for now, B minus for future potential. Fairy Meteor Crush. If the equipped monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Oh, this is something someone mentioned that it's confusing if you equip this to your opponent's monster and then they attack, but how it's ruled is since you own the Fairy Meteor Crush, the damage goes to your opponent. Interesting little interaction there. This card's not playable though. So F for Fairy Meteor Crush. Nobleman of Crossout. Oh, it's the Crossout Designator guy. Target one face down monster on the field, destroy that target, and if you do, banish it. Then if it was a flip monster, oh, okay. This is really good. There's a lot of face down monsters on the field. And if it's hitting one of these insane flip cards, you just rip them all out, banish them even. They don't even get them to the graveyard. I like this a lot. Man, when this hits, it hits. I mean, it's still technically just a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. How much stock do you put into banishing all of their like jars out of their deck? It depends on what you're banishing, right? I'm going to go B+. I don't think it has the same blowout potential as some of the other insane spells I've seen. Maybe if before the last set, I would have given this an A. Now that the power level has drastically shot up, this one's gonna still stay in the B range, but it's gonna be in the top end of the B range. This card is really, really strong. If not for the main deck, you would put this in the sideboard for sure. Wait, this is an anime card. During your opponent's battle phase, choose 2 spell trap cards from your deck and 1 monster in your main monster zone. Special summon them as normal monsters in face down defense position. Set the chosen monster if it is face up and shuffle them onto the field. The 2 cards chosen from your deck are destroyed at the end of the battle phase and cannot remain on the field except for this battle phase. This thing is so silly. All right, so you get 2 duds from your deck and you can kind of re-flip down a flip monster. And then your opponent has to, you know, choose the right ones in order to not re-trigger the flip effect. It is a way to reset a flip monster, only during your opponent's battle phase though. So that restricts it a little bit. It's neat. I like it. The design is cool. Straight at the end of the battle phase. So you can't even use the spell trap cards that you use to like tribute over something. Now they're only for the battle phase. Yeah, I think this is too niche. This is probably not played. This is just gonna be an F, I think. Here we go. Backup Soldier. While there are 5 or more monsters in your graveyard, target 3 non-effect monsters with 1500 or less attack. Add them to your hand. Oh, non-effect. You had me. You almost had me. I just didn't want to read the non-effect. I was like, bro, this is insane. For 3 normal monsters with 1500 or less. So, Exodia is about the only thing I could think of to use with this. Probably a core piece of the Exodia deck. So, it's a very specific B for Exodia. F for everything else. I'm gonna give it the everything else grade, and you're not gonna play this, but you'll know when you need it. You'll know when you need it. Mirror Wall. Each time each of your opponent's monsters that have conducted an attack while this card is face up on the field has its attack halved during each of your standby phase. Pay 2,000 LP. Wow, we went from very powerful effects with 1k LP to 2k LP. This is going to kill you very fast. Honestly, I'd rather just play Gravity Bind rather than Mirror Wall. But they made Gravity Bind a lower rarity. That's really weird. And it's not even permanent attack halving. It's while it remains on field. So if you want to get rid of this, you know, they're getting all their attack back. Is this retroactive though? So they declare an attack and it gets halved right away. I think I'd be fine with the first 2k, maybe even the first 4k life payments. After that, I'm gonna be a little concerned. Actually, it would be pretty good. Yeah, if it's on declaration of attack and they don't have to attack and then their attack is halved. Yeah, conducted. I wish it said declared because that would make more sense. But like when it says conducted, I think of past tense where they already attacked and destroyed my monster and then their attack gets halved. I don't like that as much. What if it works the other way, wherever they declare an attack, they get halved? It could buy you 2 turns, 3 turns in a pinch. Not the worst. Not the worst. Not the best either. We'll do C for Mirror Ball. Probably a little too much on the payment for what you're getting, but still has a very powerful effect where it kind of gums up the board. But like I said, after I saw Gravity Bind, where they just can't attack, then again, Gravity Bind's double-sided, so this is only one-sided. Maybe it's a little bit higher than a C. We'll do C+. I'll do C+ for Mirror Wall. Kind of a one-sided Gravity Bind-ish for a couple turns. Yeah, C+ for Mirror Wall. Maybe I'm maybe undershooting this one a little bit. Now that I'm like fully comprehending what's going on, could go a little higher, but I'm gonna go with my initial thoughts, and I'm gonna go C+. Dust Tornado. Trap card, destroy 1 spell trap your opponent controls. Oh, target 1 spell trap your opponent controls, destroy that target. Then set a spell trap from your hand. Solid. You don't even have to do that last part. It's not like a condition or anything. You're gonna play this card and 1 for 1 run on their back row. Again, not that fast, but hitting the spell trap on their turn also has some upside to it as well. I'm gonna go B- for Dust Tornado. We got Grave Robber. Select 1 spell card from your opponent's graveyard. You can use it as your hand until the end of the turn. If you use it, you take 2,000 points of damage. You can use it as your hand? Does that mean you can only play that card? Or is it like a Snapcaster maging your opponent's thing? Like you could just play it and then also play your other cards? I mean, with the spell cards in the format, being able to use one of them that they've already used is probably pretty strong. Being able to use it as your hand, though, that's very deterministic. If I can't like set cards the turn I use this, and also you'd have to set this, you can't play this on their turn unless you're grave robbering a quick play. So you have to wait 2 full turn cycles. Not the biggest deal, but I'm just gonna assume that's like extraneous text. Sometimes the wording confuses me a little bit. I'm gonna assume that's extraneous text. I'm gonna assume you just say, hey, grave robber your painful choice. And then you can cast Painful Choice and use the rest of your cards. That's what I'm going to assume. That makes this pretty good. There is a lot of good spells to choose from in this format. And your opponent is probably playing them. That said, maybe they're not. So maybe this kind of pushes it towards a sideboard grade. I like C for Grave Robber, though. Being able to reuse one of their spells is probably better than being able to revive one of their monsters. Yeah, I like C for Grave Robber. The man himself, Imperial Order. What a legendary card this is. I had the pleasure of fighting versus it many a times in my Master Duel career so far. I don't have to anymore, and according to all the formats it's in, I'm surprised it was not banned in Master Duel on release. This card is so polarizing. If my answer to this was Harpy Feather Duster, or something like that, or like just spell trap removal, but my spell trap removal is spells and this turns that off, it just makes life so hard. Like, even in more modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where you're like, who uses spell trap removal? Just like summon a monster that does it? Well, you're probably using spells to get your monsters out anyway. You know, this thing just absolutely just makes the entire game about IO. And I was also told, look up the errata, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, this thing had like 14 erratas. From what I've gathered is the second errata says if you don't, because it says right here on the actual card, this is not optional. It looks like at one point this was optional. You could just pay the 700, and then when you're like, all right, I've fucked with my opponent enough, I'm just gonna not pay anymore and I'm gonna kill them. It looks like they switched that to it's a force cost thing. And then apparently I guess you could die from this if you couldn't pay the 700, like it would just kill you. But I know in Master Duel, if you didn't have exactly 700, it would blow itself up. This card is just so weird. It looks like it just went through so many iterations. They tried to make this thing, for some reason, just work. Even though it should have just not been printed, first of all. Or second of all, it just been banned very fast. Like, it should just been out of the format ASAP. You know, if you have to errata a card 15 times, probably maybe just bench it, even though it is iconic in its own sense. Like you wouldn't errata Pot of Greed to make it playable. You know, it's legendary. Let this card be legendary. Let it sit on its throne. Look at this king. Let him sit on his throne as one of the most powerful trap cards of all time. Yeah, I mean, I've basically said enough. I mean, there's really not much else to say. I don't have much to explain. You know, the card itself is off the charts. It counters the counters to it. It stops arguably the strongest card type, at least of this era. And even in the era of more modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where the effect monster is probably the strongest card type, this thing's still insane because you need the spells to get your effect monsters and to get your extra monsters, you know? Easy A for Imperial Order, A+ even. And last card, Jinzo. I know this one too. Trap cards and their effects on field cannot be activated. Negate all trap effects on the field. Yeah, sorry, IO. Actually, wait, why is IO a problem? Why aren't you all playing a Jinzo deck if you have such a problem with IO? Yeah, I mean, this card just kind of slaps, right? At least back in the day. Nowadays, trap cards are kind of laughed at. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good trap cards floating around, and this thing burned them off. All of them, even ones that already flipped. They're not being played. I really actually don't know where to rank this one. It's kind of anti-meta in a way. So it's never going to probably be like the best card at any point. But if you're doing like a meta call or something like that, like this, you might be able to just stomp like a local with it. You know what I mean? Honestly, for being a 6-star, it's kind of beefy too. 24 with like a extremely powerful effect. I would expect this to be a little smaller actually. Hell, this even gets over the goblin attack force after just one tribute as well. 1500 defense. This is, I think, also searchable too. And it's a dark. Yeah, I think again, probably not meta, but like a B+ for Jinzo, maybe even A-. This card's really strong. All right, so that was Pharaoh's Servant, and you know what? While it's not the same level as Magic Ruler, in terms of how many like absurd cards there were still some bangers in. Imperial Order, Gravity Bind, I think is really insane too. Is this like the start of the floodgates? Is this like where they originated? And I feel like there was a little bit more, at least like C's to B's. Maybe I was being a little more generous today than usual, but I feel like there was not so much of a disparity where I felt like I was giving out a ton of F's and then just like A+ for some of the cards. I felt like there was a nice power balance here where most of the cards were kind of playable, even if they were niche or sideboard worthy. The Parasite, like some sort of insect archetype with the DNA surgery and the thing where you can't attack. That's interesting. I want to see where that goes, if it goes anywhere. You also had a lot of Monster Reborn effects too. Always a little scary to see those because those can get out of hand pretty fast, especially if you have a ton of redundancy with them. Premature Burial being probably the better one. But even still, Call the Haunted, if you find a way to dump something that you need into the graveyard. I mean, hell, even if you play a Jinzo deck, you could just keep bringing Jinzo back. Well, I guess that would not work with Call the Haunted. Actually, how would that work? Does Jinzo negate Call the Haunted so the monster then dies again? I assume that's how that works. That is going to be it. I have been recording for 4 hours and 30 minutes. I'm going to have to cut this. This is going to take forever to edit. I will see you guys next time. Peace.